Back to the highlights and match reaction show here live on the Football Terrace. We are, of course, sponsored by Topps Kick 23, the official digital collectible app for the UEFA Champions League. Firstly, scan the QR code on the screen or click in the link in the description below to get the app downloaded. And I have to say, it is the best fantasy football game I've ever played. Not only can users trade their cards with others, you can also craft, create, and upgrade the existing cards you already own. The rarer the cards, the more points you win during Champions League games. Now, I want to see if I can set you all a challenge. I smash KJ on this every single week. The question is, are you up to the challenge and can you beat me? If you think you can, get the app downloaded right now by scanning on that QR code or clicking on the link in the description. As I say, best fantasy football game on the planet. And we're live with Topps Kick 23 between now and the Champions League final. Enjoy the rest of the video and we'll speak to you soon. Man City throw away another lead. Another game they should be winning easily. Another game they were dominating. They could not see through. Guardiola, very heavily linked with City, heavily linked with Liverpool, and of course nearly joined Chelsea, grabbing the equalizer in the, not the dying embers of the game, but 70 odd minutes on the clock. Leipzig battered them in that second half. City didn't really have a response. They reacted to going the game going back to 1-1. But it was again another performance where when a team is brave enough to attack Man City, they are gettable. City are gettable. And I've been saying this for a long time now, and I get called out for it. People think I just make these phrases up. It's the truth. This City are not the scary, dominant, fearless, emphatic, clinical winners they once were. They could very well get back to that next season. But right now, in these games where it matters, they're well below par. I don't think you can get away from that. When KDB is not on the pitch, nobody is looking to find Haaland at all. And look, people can sit there and say there was a handball towards the end. Maybe not. It wasn't given. It was reviewed. The VAR said no. We can discuss that. Since when was City holding on, desperate for VAR decisions against teams that are what? How good are Leipzig? Where are they even sitting in the Bundesliga? Most of you sitting there and slag the Bundesliga off each week, whenever it comes up in conversation. Where are they in the league this year? 5th. So the 5th best team in Germany, the best team in the world, Man City, need to rely on VAR. It's ridiculous. They got battered in the second half and did not deserve to walk away with 3 points. City are losing their clinical edge. Haaland's still on a poor run of form in terms of missing chances, as well as the team not finding him. There's something really fizzling out there. As I say, they may find him again. He may come back into form. Next season, they might be firing on all cylinders. But there is something fundamentally wrong with this City team. They're not clicking. They're not together. There is not unity. And I think City fans can sit there and blame refs. I should have been a foul in the lead up to the goal. We should have had a penalty. How about you kill teams off? How about you finish teams off? How about, you make less defensive mistakes? How about you stay resolute and stay in shape when a team puts pressure on you? That would make more. The game's dead. We still deserve a penalty. Lazy headline. I mean, it wasn't actually a dead game, in my opinion. First half was. Second half really come alive, and City didn't exploit it. I don't think it's a lazy headline at all. It's 2 games running where City have been the dominant team to begin with. They have had abundance of chances or openings and opportunities to create chances from. The amount of times, again, Haaland's running into space. He's open for a through ball, and nobody finds him, is astronomically bad. The amount of times the ball is at Jack Grealish's feet, he jinks left, he jinks right, he drops a shoulder, rolls his foot over the ball, does a little skill, and then does nothing with it at the end of it. This is about City not being clinical. And then when they're attacked, being vulnerable. And maybe the two are interlinked. Maybe there's an element here of, "Oh, we're not finishing our chances, so I'm a little bit nervous to be attacked," because what City used to do is would score more than you. No matter what you did, we'd always go and score more than you, no matter what. Now it's a case of, I'm scared to make a mistake at the back. I'm a little bit vulnerable because I don't have the confidence in my attackers to score goals anymore. Maybe there's an interlink there. Maybe the attackers are losing their clinical edge because they don't have as much confidence at the back. It could be one or the other. But there's a link here, in my opinion. There really, really is. And it's 2 games running where City are getting beaten or dropping points or failing to win games against inferior opposition. And it's not good enough. It's simply not good enough. How are City the best team without winning the Champions League? I'm clapping back at their fans' claims they're the best team in the world. That's what I mean, Casey. That wasn't my opinion. Yes, I'm responding to somebody. The goal was a foul, 2 hands on Diaz, Terry. For me, no foul. The player's up in the air already and then puts his hands on him. If he climbed up him, then I would have said yes. But he kind of was up, then put his hands down. I can understand why people would say it's a foul. But for me, no, not a foul. Wouldn't personally give it, in my opinion. In my opinion. City and Liverpool fans, Liverpool era is ending. City's era isn't ending. City are not going to disappear, by the way. City will come back and be a bigger and better, stronger team. And when they are, by the way, in a year's time, killing it again, it'll all come back and be like, yeah, Terry was right. We were really off the boil. We were really vulnerable. We no longer are, you know. It doesn't mean, by the way, Man United and Arsenal are not going to enter. It's going to be a new era. Man United and Arsenal will be in it, in my opinion. But I do believe City will be there as well. There's not going to be 2 teams. There's going to be at least 3 in this, in my opinion. Malik here says too many useless passes from City. There was a lot of that. There is a lot of. It's okay to pass the ball around the way they do. Pep systems have been built upon it. But there comes a time where you've got to make the killer pass. And they don't make it enough in this team. There comes a time where you've got to take a risk. And the less KDB's on that pitch, the Bernardo Silvas, the Gundawans, the Jack Grealishes, they either can't make it or they don't attempt it. It's poor. It is absolutely poor. Etihad Stadium, second leg. Calm down, Terry. You weren't saying this when Arsenal bottled 4 games in a row. But I'm talking about the problem with City tonight is a problem that I've seen with City all year. So I'm not making this up. This isn't a one-off poor performance where they look vulnerable. This has happened on multiple occasions. It's why Arsenal are top. And as I've said all year, and you seem to fail to listen to me, you just get angry. And if you should listen to me because you should be putting this pressure upon your team. City is still a brilliant side. There's just something missing, which is why I don't think they'll win the Prem this year and why I'm not tipping them to win the Champions League as it stands. There's something just missing. A certain je ne sais quoi, a certain skill, a certain ruthlessness, a certain. City have been emphatic for years, where they'd very rarely allow games to slip between their fingers. Too many that's happened in recent weeks alone. Off the top of my head, today, Forest, Man United, and then maybe another one. I could think if you've taken the lead in the game and not winning. In the space of a month, how often has that happened under Pep Guardiola? Very rarely. I'm not slagging you off. I'm being critical of one of the best teams in the world, who I still think are one of the best teams in the world. Thank you very much for becoming an official member of the Football Terrace. It means a great deal to us. Footy has turned soft if that goal is a foul. Yeah, it's not a foul in my opinion. It's not a foul in my opinion. I thought he was already up. He lent on him. He didn't use him to climb. He steadied himself. But Ruben Diaz hadn't jumped. So he didn't stop Ruben Diaz getting to the ball because Ruben Diaz hadn't jumped. So for me, I personally wouldn't give it as a foul. I think what I think City fans should be focusing on more than a handball, more than Guardiola, is why tonight did Pep Guardiola make 0 subs? But you look at that bench tonight. Alvarez is on the bench. Who else we got on here that could change the game? Phillips is on the bench. Foden's on the bench. Palmer's on the bench. Lewis is on the bench. There's a number of players there that could have come into this game, freshened things up a little bit. Didn't do it. That's a bigger issue. And it isn't the first time that he's done that. And I think that Pep Guardiola is feeling the pressure. And I'll tell you why I think Pep Guardiola is feeling the pressure. Just take a little listen. Take a little listen to this.
I arrive here, and the people say you arrive here to win the Champions League.
I don't mean just about win it. I just mean generally in terms of everything that you have to deal with.
Jack, I would say, for the club, I would say if my career finished tomorrow, because I cannot be manager, but literally tomorrow, I will be more than blessed and grateful what I've done with the Barcelona, Bayern Munich, and here in Europe or in the competition. So I could never ever expect to have the career I had in the short time, not just for I would say, the success that we had all together in this period, 30, 40 years. It's just for the fact, the way we played, in the way I love it. So I could not more grateful. I cannot ask more. So I think we want to do our best, and our best, I have the illusion to do quarterfinals. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. So at the end, the destiny is already written, and we do our best of what they have done. We have been close, sometimes not, sometimes closer, and it was not an exception now. So this is my feeling. I live that position. So I had the feeling what we have done, all of us, for many years, whatever happened, is going to fail. So whatever I'm doing personally with the future, what I've done this past, I'm going to fail. Nothing will be enough. So that's why.
See, when he says that there, nothing will ever be enough. Nothing will ever be enough. Whatever I do, I'll always be criticized. And there's an element of truth to this. And I believe him that if he retires tomorrow, he'd be happy with his career because he has won the Champions League twice. So I disagree with people that say he has to win it without Messi to be considered a great. That's nonsense. That is a nonsense claim. He is already one of the greatest managers of all time. I will not dispute that. But to turn this City team into one of the great teams, he has to win a Champions League. Domestically, City are a great side. Domestically, City will stand shoulder to shoulder with many great domestic champions. Many Liverpool, many Man United, many Arsenal, many Chelsea teams from my lifetime. You can go back further, and you're talking about great Everton teams, great Villa teams, great Forest teams. They stand shoulder to shoulder with them. There is no doubt. But I think the money that Man City have spent, they are looking to become one of the greatest teams in the world. You can be the best team in the world in terms of in a calendar year playing better football than anybody else, points totals, records, trophies. But to be remembered as a great, they all have one thing, and that is Champions League pedigree, or it used to be called the European Cup. You have to have that. The greatest teams of all time on a European scale have had that. All of them. And this City team, for me, has failed in that regard. It has zero European pedigree. And Guardiola's job is to achieve that, and he knows it. It doesn't mean his time at City has been a complete abject failure. The rest of the trophies and records mean nothing. I would never suggest that at all. But there'll be an objective within his task of winning the Champions League, which if he doesn't win, there's a big X next to it. That element, winning something with Man City in the modern day era in Europe, winning the Champions League, that element will be classed as a failure. And of course he feels the pressure on doing that. Why do I know that? Because he's a perfectionist and one of the greatest managers of all time, and he wants to win it. So he's been very careful with his words around, if I retire tomorrow, I'm happy. And whatever I do, it won't be good enough. Yeah, maybe not for some people, but you don't care about your haters. You do care about your employers, though. We saw you fight for them last week. Of course he wants to win this. Of course he's desperate to win it before he leaves City. But performances like tonight are why he will not. I think they'll knock Leipzig out. But if he performs like this against Real Madrid, bye-bye. If he performs like this against Bayern Munich, it's good night, Vienna. If they perform like this against Napoli, kiss, kiss, bang, bang, it's over. And I even think if they perform like this against some of the Inter Milans and that of this world, they could maybe put them to task. There are other teams out there that are able to. I mean, Leipzig, if they'd have been a bit braver in the first half themselves, I think if Nkunku and Hendricks start the game, It could have been a little bit different if they'd have been a bit more aggressive from the beginning. But for me, that is what City fans should be focusing on. Us winning this tournament. Stop worrying, oh, Terry isn't that nice to us. Of course I'm not going to be that nice to you. I hold you to such a high standard because you're such a brilliant team. I'm going to nitpick. Because you are not striving to just be seen as a brilliant team. You're not striving, Man City, to be seen as a good footballing side. You're not striving to be an also run. You're not striving to be patted on the back like Man United at the moment, who are on the way up. You're not striving to be congratulated like Arsenal, that haven't been in a title race for the best part of a decade and haven't won a league title in nearly 2 decades. You are sitting there upon the edge of greatness. Your criticism is going to be harsh because you're failing in achieving the ultimate goal of winning every single tournament capable to a team. How many sides have ever done that? Not many. Not many have won everything. And you're on the edge of greatness, and I'm going to scrutinize you for it because your club spend to be great. They aim to be great. Your manager is great, and you all want to be great. So, of course, you're going to be scrutinized when you fall short of that. I'm not taking the piss out of City. I'm not laughing at you. I'm saying these things have got to be better for you to achieve your goals. And you get angry with me? You get angry with me for criticizing to help you get what you want? Come on now. That doesn't even make sense. That doesn't even make sense. I remember watching, I swear on your All or Nothing series, your club and people at your club are talking about quads. They want this. So when they let up, when they're beating a Nottingham Forest team and missing sitters and they throw it away at the end, when they're 1-0 up away in Leipzig and then they can't respond and they can't kill the game off, when you've got the most prolific striker at his age ever in the Champions League, one of the best finishers in the world, and your midfielders are not feeding the ball into him, why are you angry at me for that? You should be fuming at your team. Fuming at them. It is not my fault. Centurions, you deserve scrutiny. They're not Centurions anymore. This team, listen, how long after a team achieves something brilliant can they not be scrutinized? In my opinion, it's the very next game. Come on now. If Arsenal win the league this year, but don't win any of their opening 5 games next season, no scrutiny's allowed? Shut up. Come on now. That isn't how it works. City have dropped too many points from winning positions this year. They've been too gettable, too easy to open up, and they don't feed the ball into Haaland enough. To not criticize that because they got 100 points 5 years ago would be scandalous. It would be scandalous. Scandalous, my friends. And you want to have a go at me for criticizing you. Do you know what I think the City fans have a problem with? Is that the pundits very rarely criticize them. It's why is someone saying negative about us? We're the best team in the league. Yeah, you are. Therefore, I'm going to scrutinize you more. I'm the same with my club. More so with my club. I scrutinize my better players more than my lesser players. I used to call Man United fans out for this all the time. Why'd you ever go at Pogba more than you have a go at McTominay? Because Pogba's 10 times better, so I expect more. When I used to teach kids kickboxing and karate, if I have one kid that's got all the ability in the world, the technique, his stances, his movements in katas are great fighter. And the other guy is bang average. And they're both failing. The guy with the ability is getting more stick than the guy who's trying his hardest but just isn't good enough. And that is how I'm going to treat City. Because I'm principled and fair. So you can moan about it all you want. You can cry about it all you want. You can run off to another channel where they're just going to bullshit you and pat you, oh, it's all going to be okay. It's all going to be okay. Why would you want to be lied to? It might make you feel better in the short term, but not in the long term. Come on now. Josh here says, thank you, Terry. In City's All or Nothing, they were aiming for the quad back then. Don't let them off the hook with all their resources at every level of football, expecting footballing heritage. I understand you. Leng and Sweet, being honest here, says this team is not good enough. And City are not good enough right now. However, you've got to listen to everything I say. City will be back. That's why I think This season, Arsenal, Man United, Europe, capitalize. They'll be back because they will spend and Guardiola will go again. What for? To win all these trophies. And to win them, you've got to be more clinical and less gettable. It has to happen. It simply has to happen here. Don One says, facts, Terry. Josh here says, this City side need a rebuild. Without KDB, this City team looks dead. No creativity, tempo, or anything sideways, or everything sideways and backwards. We say Liverpool's team is past it. What about Guardiola, Walker, Silva? Well, look, Silva doesn't want to be there anymore. Guardiola doesn't want to be there anymore. Walker's getting on a bit. So, absolutely. They're obviously doing a lot better than Liverpool. So they're not going to get the criticism Liverpool are getting. Liverpool will become a mid-table team from quad challengers last year. That drop-off is beyond just the team being too old. This team needs 2 or 3 more new players. Needs a shake-up. It's simple as that. Doesn't need a complete rebuild, in my opinion. It just needs 3 or 4 players coming in. I wouldn't call that a rebuild. It needs rejuvenation, is what I would say. Personally, VK here says Pep has been cracked on by the Cone Boy and the new bald king, is what VK says here. Josh says elite sport mentality. There is no snowflake mindset in high performance. High standards equals high results. Eric Ten Hag has proven it in real time. Constructive criticism and the desire to be the best. Wolves here says, well, I'm not worried. Even I agree, Terry. Comments for City. Arsenal found a way bottling this league. Arsenal found a way bottling this league. I mean, Arsenal might bottle it still. And if Arsenal bottle it, if Arsenal fall away, I'll criticize them. I criticize them after all of their defeats. I absolutely did. I even said the other day when we were talking to Lee that I think they bottled it against City. They lost their heads. They lost their confidence. Called it out as well. I don't understand. Terry, there is a difference when you have an agenda. I don't have an agenda. I have no agenda and I have no bias because when City was smashing leagues up, winning them at a canter, all I did was praise them. You just obviously weren't a subscriber. When City are doing well, I praise them. When I see problems, I will call them out. That's not an agenda. That's called being fair. That's called being, that's the opposite of an agenda. If City turn up against Leipzig in the return leg and smash them 5-0 and kill them, I'll say, what an emphatic performance. You never hear me say, oh, they've only done it because of oil money. Or what if they didn't have this? Or what if they didn't have that? I've never done that to City. Never played it down once. Yes, I'll call out the cheat allegations for what I think they are. But I've already said I'm going to leave them alone now until the evidence comes out. And if they haven't cheated, I'll stand up for City. If they have, I'll condemn them. That's not an agenda. That's literally the epitome of fairness, my friend. But what some people call an agenda is when I don't favour them for something. So I thought Liverpool were going to catch them last year when Liverpool were 12 points behind. And everyone said I had an agenda. And then when it didn't happen, I went, you were wrong. I was like, I was wrong by like a point. They almost caught them. And they were 1 win away or 1 draw away, whatever way you want to look at it. My prediction wasn't obscure. My opinion wasn't outrageous. They caught up by 11 points. I thought they were going to do it by 12. But you go, you only did it because you had an agenda. Yeah, no, not really. I hate Liverpool a lot more than I hate City. It was just an opinion. And next year I might predict City to win the league. Does that mean I've got an agenda against every other club? I don't get it. I'm not here. Listen, some YouTubers will say what their viewers want to hear to keep them. I've never done that. I will say what I think. I had a Man United fan DM me the other day going, stop watching your channel all year because you were saying nice things about Arsenal. I said, fine. Well, I said, why have you come back? He said, because I heard you say something nice about Man United for once. I said, you obviously don't listen enough. And he goes, I watched a few more videos and actually you're right. I just thought you had this weird agenda. I said, no, mate. But I don't care about losing him as a viewer because I'm always going to speak how I think and feel. It's not an agenda. It's my honest, truthful opinion. Always. And if you don't like that, go watch someone lie to you. But why would you want it? Terry, why is any defeat bottling it? Not all defeats are bottling it. But I think when you're leading against a team that's not as good as you and you're dominating the game and they make a tactical change and you cower away into your shadow, into your shell and get slapped about, that's bottling it. when you're leading against an average team in the Premier League, and you're missing sitters as the pressure's building, and then they equalize late on, and then you fail to create the opportunities to win the game. I think that's bottling it. Bottling it. Do you know what bottle means? Bottle is Cockney rhyming slang, which is bottle and glass, which rhymes with arse. And you say that to someone when their arse goes, you're saying that they're shitting it. Oh, they're scared. It means, I hope you know what that's what it means. So, yeah, I do think that. If a team goes into a game and a superior team beats them 3-0, that's not bottling it. I don't even think taking the lead against a team superior to you and then losing it is necessarily bottling it, because you were the underdog even when you were winning. But for me, the last 2 games, City have bottled, in my humble opinion. That's a weird comment. Conceding 1 goal isn't getting slapped about. I was talking about the play, my friend. City were getting opened up left, right, and center in that second half. Now, City of a couple of years ago wouldn't have been getting that, having that happen to them by Leipzig. But that's been happening to City all year as well. Why are we ignoring this? Why are we lying to ourselves? I don't understand. I don't understand. You say Terry's got an agenda. I've been saying this about you all year, and you keep having games where you get got at, drop points, or lose, nowhere near your normal standard. And how have I got? I'm not even going to say it anymore. How have I got an agenda when I'm just calling out what's literally happening? And then you get Big Steve will come on here and say the same thing, that we're not the same team this year. We're too easy to get at. We're not killing games off. Oh, Steve speaks facts. I'm saying the same thing. Come on now, wake up. Wake up. Grow some thick skin. Learn to take the criticism that's justified. That's justified. I know it's facts. They just can't handle it. Roger here says, big City fan here, but you're saying exactly what I'm thinking. And Roger, I know I'm saying what loads of City fans think and feel about their team this year. Lang & Sweet was in the comments before we went live going, oh, we're a rubbish team now. I've never said you're rubbish. I don't think City are rubbish. I still think you're a brilliant side. There's just something missing that I think, unless it improves, will stop you winning the league this year. And you won't win the Champions League with it without improving. Now, if you improve it and win, you'll go, see, Terry won it anyway. You're not going to win being this gettable. It's not going to happen. The best City sides, you've had City teams that have been practically impenetrable in the Prem, still not win the Champions League. So a City team that gets opened up every game is never winning it. It's not happening. Criticize your team, put pressure on them. Come on now. How are you, Terry? I have a feeling that there is a lack of motivation in Pep and Klopp this season. Maybe their mentality, tired 6 years being in one of the best teams in the world, can be mentally draining. Listen, I think it can do. Look, I think that my feelings about Pep and Klopp are different. I think Klopp's got to move on. I think Pep's going to get this City team in the next year back up and firing again. This will be like a 1-year thing. And he still may win trophies because they're a brilliant team. But rejuvenation of the squad is needed for Pep Guardiola, in my opinion. There's no doubt about it. Terry, you have an agenda because you don't have the same energy for Arsenal when they lose or draw. I haven't heard you once say Arsenal have bottled it. Do you know what's crazy? I said after the game against City that I think they bottled it on the day. You go back and watch it. I think they didn't step up to the challenge. But when did this agenda start? Because last year when Arsenal were losing 3 or 4 games on the bounce, I was calling them out massively, compilations, ripping into them, being highly critical. So to act like I've never criticized Arsenal and you're narrowing down my view of football down to this one particular season is crazy. Every year I have different teams I criticize and different teams I back or I think are doing really, really well. That's the epitome of not being biased. The absolute epitome of it. That's the opposite of an agenda. It's the opposite of an agenda. Surely. You can't play tiki-taka with egotistical egotists with little brains like Grealish, Iniesta, Pedro, Pedro, Ribery, Robin, to that self-centered show pony is what Stu Mack has got to say here about Jack Grealish today. By the way, I want to have a big massive shout out to our title sponsors tonight, Tops Kick 23. Make sure you get it downloaded. I had a really good night on the app tonight, by the way. I had a really good night on the app tonight. How many points did I get? God damn, look at that, baby. That's a massive, massive points there for me. My contest ended. I want to see what I won. What did I get? I won something, right? Did I win? Yes, here we go. Right, I'm going to claim my prize here. Let's see what the prize is. Who did I get? I don't know who I got. There's no one in it. I don't even know what that means. I got to go look at it now. I thought I was going to get a player. Okay, I got that. So all different things you got to collect. I got GC White tonight. Let us know where you came, where you did, and what you got up to in that on Tops Kick 23. Make sure you get it downloaded, by the way, as well. One of the best fantasy games you can play out there tonight. Do you know what really annoyed me? I don't have any Lukakus. I traded all my Lukakus, and then he goes and scores. I really wish. I pretty much every other attacker at Inter Milan I had out on the pitch tonight, but I didn't have Lukaku. Very, very frustrating for me. And, of course, I packed my team full of Haalands, and Gundogan couldn't find him tonight. Couldn't find him. Terry, are Premier League teams weak this year? Premier League teams have been so poor. So poor in these opening round, the opening legs of the first knockout stages. They've been shocking. And the English team should be thoroughly embarrassed of their performances so far. Of course, the worst being Liverpool. But City is a draw. They'll go through, in my opinion. I still think Chelsea and Spurs can go through. I don't think they're out, but it's been a very poor first round of games. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. Thank God Stones is back next week. Yeah, I hear you. This says, why is he saying bottle? Chelsea, Spurs, and Liverpool worse. What the F? Yeah, I mean, Chelsea and Spurs weren't winning their games and threw it away 2 games running. And Liverpool, I didn't use the word bottle last night. I said embarrassed and destroyed. You are the truth of it. I'll tell you the truth of it. You're a very weak man. But if you are feeling down, if you're feeling, vulnerable, whatever it may be, feel free to drop me a DM, my bro, and I'll chat to you because I think you need a hug, bro. I think you need a hug. You really, really do. You really, really do, man. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's crazy. Someone says, you don't have City fans on the show. We have Patrick. We have V. We have Nobbins on pretty much every top 6 show. We have Big Steve once a week. Why do you guys lie? Some of you are so weird. Like, legitimately, I mean this in the nicest way possible. Some of you are proper weirdos. Honestly. Super City says, I just wanted to not lose the game tonight. Not sure what all the fuss is about. Let me ask you a question, Super City. Are you not worried about how gettable you are? How easy it is to create chances against City now, maybe compared to a season or 2 ago? Does that not concern you in any capacity? I just want to get your opinion. I'm not challenging you. I just want to know what you think and feel. There we go. Let's have a look at some more of your comments here. You don't have to be a great team to win the Champions League. You just have to be a lucky team. I don't know. When was the last time a team won the Champions League without being a brilliant team? Who was the last Champions League team to win it that wasn't brilliant? Champions League winners. Let's have a little look here. List of Champions League finals and winners. Let's have a little look here. Let's just go back. So Real Madrid, great team. We know that. Chelsea won it. You could argue Chelsea. You could argue Chelsea won it. They weren't a great team. They weren't a bad team, though. But okay. Bayern Munich, no, you can't. Liverpool, they were great. Madrid, great. Barcelona in 2015, great. Real Madrid in 2014, great. Bayern Munich 2013, great. Chelsea in 2012, great. Barca in 2011, great. Inter in 2010, great. Barca 09, great. United 08, great. AC Milan was still great in 07. Barca were great in 09. Liverpool, you could argue, weren't a great side then. They weren't league winners. Porto the year before that were brilliant. Milan in 03 were great. Real Madrid in 02 were great. Bayern Munich in 01 were great. Real Madrid in 2000 were great. So we go through the last 23 years. You could argue Chelsea in 2021 and Liverpool in 2005 were what you could call lucky. But Chelsea was still at that point one of the top teams in the Premier League. And Liverpool was still one of the top 4 teams in the Premier League back then. So it's nonsense. It's a nonsense, really. So in 23 years, you could argue there's been 2 lucky ones. You could argue there's been 2 lucky ones. But you guys are saying AC Milan. How are AC Milan in the noughties not a brilliant team? Stop lying to yourselves. You kids, you're lying. Right? And also, what I said is that I don't say you have to be a great team to always win it. I said if this City team now wants to be remembered as an international great team, they've got to add that Champions League to it. So you're confusing my words a little bit there. But most teams that win the Champions League are brilliant sides. We go back to the previous decade before that, just 10 more years that we'll do it. Man United in 99, great. Madrid in 98, great. Dortmund were a brilliant team in the 90s. Juve were brilliant in the 90s. Ajax were brilliant in the 90s. Milan, brilliant in the 90s. I don't know how good Marseille were, 92. I was only like 8 or 9 years old, but French football was stronger back then. Barca were a very good team in the 90s. Red Star Belgrade were a superb team from Yugoslavia. And then Milan. It's nearly always brilliant teams that win it. Very rarely is a team winning it where you've gone, oh my God, I can't believe it. What you haven't had in the Champions League, you don't get like a team like Wigan winning it. You don't get a team like Genk that win it. You don't get a minnow that wins it. You don't. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. Chelsea weren't but listen, Chelsea weren't a crap team. They were going through a rubbish time. Having a poor season doesn't mean you're a bad team. It doesn't mean that at all. They weren't a crap side. You look at what the players they had and what they achieved in and around those seasons. They're a brilliant team. They'd only won the league a year or so before. They weren't a lucky team. Liverpool in 05, I've already said, you could look at that. But Chelsea in 2012, right? If you actually look at Chelsea as an example and just go, let's do this one. We can say 3. Look at them here, right? So in 2015, 14-15, they won a League Cup. They won the FA Cup in 2012 as well. They won the Premier League in 2010, 2015. So in and around that core group, sort of over that period, won league titles and FA Cups and League Cups and Champions Leagues. That's not a lucky team, in my opinion. And they're not a lucky team that's crap that didn't win anything. They're still a good team, in my view. Porto were brilliant, by the way. Porto don't count. Porto were a brilliant side. Look what happened to their manager and look what happened to a lot of their top players. They were a brilliant side. Stop that. Stop that now. Do you know what I'm saying? Come on now. Porto weren't lucky. You're absolutely right. You guys are clutching at straws here. You're clutching at straws. Bayern Munich battered us United in 1999. Terry, you won with luck. Yeah, but we weren't a crap. When you say you've got to be a lucky team, what are you saying here? No, you've got to. Man United was still a brilliant team, though. For me, winning the Champions League by luck means you're one of the minnows at the beginning, or you're an average team at the beginning, and you fluke your way to the end. You know, that's not what happens. That's not what happens. Come on now. Wow, it's crazy what people are saying in these comments. But there we go. Yeah. But the thing with Porto is, if Porto would have kept Jose and kept their best players and added to it, they could have won. They could have won another Champions League. But clubs their size can't. But I don't think they were. You could argue they were lucky when they knocked Man United out. United scored a legitimate goal that was disallowed, but it wasn't lucky from a sense that they weren't of quality to win it. That's a stretch, bruv. That's a stretch, big stretch. Porto already won it in 1987 as well. Well, there we go. I didn't even know. Do you know what? I didn't even know that. Because I don't know everything. I don't pretend to know everything. Did they? I'm not disagreeing with you, did they? Oh, yeah.